It is time, once again, for Weird World Weekly. Hello, Matt Stein.
Can we get cloaks?
What?
Like, the way you introduce this, I feel like we should be wearing big, like, sacrificial robes.
Oh, I was thinking, like Dracula cloaks. Like, the ones that look like capes, they're actually capes. And he
Uh-huh.
kind of puts one side over his face. I am Dracula. Kind of.
Oh! That works. We could do that.
All right, if we make enough money with the Patreon account, then we'll invest some money into cloaks.
Does it count if, like, half the money is mine?
Man, we have to actually make money off the Patreon to actually do it.
Okay. So the money that I donate to our Patreon doesn't count? It's like a wash.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah.
I believe in what we do, so I give my own money to us.
Thanks. Patreon.com/GalacticNetcast. Don't really mention it too much anymore, just because. Don't want to push it too much. Hello, I'm Dave Nelson, and welcome to the podcast where we talk about the weird, the odd, the strange, and talk about it under, 15 minutes or less. Under 15 minutes. That's our guarantee. That's our promise every week, so we can get you off, maybe you have a 15-minute commute in your car. Perfect. By the time you get to work or wherever you're going, we're done, and we're off to the next one. So, the subjects. Matt, do you want to talk about, run down the subjects that we draw our stories from?
Yeah. So each week we decide what we're going to talk about by spinning our Wheel of Weird, and the choices are going to be paranormal, mythological, which is usually ancient or modern day, conspiracy theories, or my favorite, grab big.
Hang on one second. Let's play it just because it's fun to listen to.
Grab big.
Or just stop it there. Hang on.
Grab.
You know what? You're a
that
dude.
pause. Big. There it is. So the grab bag category is where everything else goes that does not fit into the first three.
All right.
So, Dave, I think it's your turn to spin that wheel.
I think it is. I warmed up too. I stretched.
I saw you doing wind sprints while I was talking there.
You shouldn't break anything or tear anything. So here we go. I'm old, so. All right. It's like bingo. Let's see where the wheel's going to stop. And it is... All right, let's start the talk.
Start the talk?
We're going to start to talk and start the clock 15 minutes or less.
Start to stock.
Okay, let's get into it here. So paranormal, little-known mysterious ghost types. So people know about full-body apparitions. These are the most common types of ghosts that get bandied about, that people talk about. So you got your full-body apparitions, you got your orbs, you got your shadow people, EVPs. What does that stand for?
Electromagnetic voice phenomenon.
Okay. Phantoms. You heard of them?
Yep.
Poltergeists.
They're here.
Okay. So how about this? This is one of the lesser-known types. Vortex. Vortex.
I was like, are you gonna go on?
Yeah.
I've never heard of a vortex.
Well,
as an apparition, I should say.
Yeah, I'm sure that you've heard about the phenomenon of a vortex.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually something that spins, right? That's a vortex.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Like when I flush my toilet.
Yes. In this case, vortex is an unobservable to the normal human eye, usually showing its presence only in picture stills. The vortex is long, usually in the shape of a cigar or metal rod, and contains a thread-like design, making them appear almost like a turning screw in midair. Vortexes make themselves known through temperature, making the immediate area they occupy cold. The vortex, like other types of paranormal objects, are usually attached to larger scale hauntings. So it's not the haunting itself, it's the some kind of side effect from the haunting. Since they seem to solely exist within the confines of homes, there is the theory that they may be previous residents of the property. They may actually be vehicles for other spirits to piggyback on as they travel between their dimensions and ours. Interesting.
Yeah, that's not one I've ever heard of or even
So
really seen.
it's kind of like some kind of mode of transportation, it sounds like.
That would kind of go with the concept of a vortex.
So the vortex is the means of getting from there to here, wherever here is and wherever there is.
Right, right.
So, yeah. So if you feel the cold that sometimes they mention on these ghost shows or movies, it's all of a sudden cold, and that's a sure sign that ghosts are in the area. That is the result of a vortex. That's the vortex, cold. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on to another lesser-known paranormal type, lemurs. What comes to mind when you hear lemurs, Matt?
That weird bug-eyed animal?
Yeah. Freaky. Lemurs are freaker.
Yeah. Freakers.
Freakers. They're tweakers. They're up all the time because they're taking too much coke. Now, lemurs are a wandering type of ghost, and I didn't put this in our notes, but this actually comes from, I want to say, ancient Rome or ancient Greece. So this word or this term has been around for a long, long time. It is said to carry anger and hostility over having its earthly life cut short and not having the proper funeral rites given. So a person, for example, maybe dies in some big natural disaster and his body's never found and his life is cut short really quickly. That would be a lemur because he wasn't expected to die and he didn't get the proper rites of burial. So that is what a lemur is. The lemur is often associated with darkness, doom, and misfortune, and are basically a combination of an apparition and a phantom. Whatever those are. I know what an apparition is, but what's a phantom?
I would have just assumed that a phantom and an apparition were the same. Like, that's Finkel and Einhorn, pretty much.
Yeah. Wait a second. What did you just say?
A phantom and a ghost is like Finkel and Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel's a man.
Oh,
or Einhorn's a man, sorry.
I've never heard that.
Ace Ventura?
No,
You've never seen Ace Ventura?
Oh, I have, but I don't like it.
Oh, my...
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, I clicked the link for the word that we were looking up. What was it again? Phantom?
Phantom, yeah, and it just redirects you to ghost.
Yeah, so that's no good.
So
yeah,
it's one and the same.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so this is my favorite of this list. Well, actually, the term is my favorite on this list. It's Etheric Revenants. Etheric Revenants. That's a fancy science term, or at least it sounds like one. So, if you heard stories of people becoming weak and losing energy in certain haunted places, this can probably be attributed to the presence of an etheric revenant.
Makes sense.
You've heard of this phenomenon before, right? People all of a sudden just they're so tired.
Yeah, they talk about it a lot on Ghost Bros or Ghost Adventures. You know, where they wear affliction shirts and just scream at ghosts.
Yeah. Yep.
Whatever the main one, Dildo Baggins or whatever, he always complains about getting tired.
Okay.
So it's a very common practice on that show. Not saying that I don't believe that it exists. I have my issues with that show. But yes, I'm familiar with it.
Why do you watch it then?
Because I'm dumb. I watch Teen Mom too. I mean,
Because it's there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. I was thinking about this. I wonder if like other reactions can be attributed to the etheric revenant. Like if you all of a sudden got pissed off or um, got emotional, for example. I wonder if that can be attributed to that as well. You know, I don't know. So
There's two sides to every coin. I'll just put it that way. I feel like most things you can somewhat explain. You could explain your way out of any situation. So saying that this could be something else is fairly easy to do.
okay. So these type of ghosts possess qualities that would suggest that they are somewhat linked to non-earthly entities, such as demons or beings from another dimension. So I think that really kind of answers our questions. That if my question, that maybe you're emotional or you're other reactions to this may be caused by demons. Because you could see I mean, maybe getting the emotions from that entity. If you're mad or you're emotional, that may be associated with this demon. So maybe I'm right.
I feel like that thought process is a cop out,
Okay.
like an early church cop out for why people misbehaved.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. All right.
Not saying that I disagree with you,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it was, oh, your kid's looking up 17th century pornography. It's that damn dick demon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I could totally see that. Yeah. But who knows? There may be cases that it actually is the effect of this etheric revenant.
I agree. But so like now if a kid misbehaves, they never say, oh, that kid's possessed. They say, well, it's bad parenting. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's.
I think we should bring it back. Let's bring back the blaming the demon.
So I'm gonna go to Walmart when I see a kid misbehaving. I'm gonna be like, he's possessed, and then I'll be the one that ends up in prison because they'll
Yeah.
think I'm crazy.
Yeah. All right. So I left off at demons and beings from other dimensions. They have an appearance which is very similar to the more common shadow people, ghost type. But unlike the shadow people, the etheric revenant primarily siphons energy away from any living being in the areas that they inhabit. So that answers my question. You're not going to get any kind of other reaction from being around an etheric revenant. Etheric revenants are considered highly dangerous as they take a physical and emotional toll on its victims. Okay, so this is my favorite phenomenon of this last one. It's inanimate ghosts. Have you heard of the Flying Dutchman?
No, but I've heard of the Frying Dutchman.
Okay. Well, that was probably some kind of spoof on the Flying Dutchman.
It's also the seafood restaurant in The Simpsons.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's where they got that. Well, they got that from the Flying Dutchman, which is
Sure.
a phantom ship. It's a ship that would show up every once in a while at a certain time, and they'd be like, oh, it's the Flying Dutchman. It's the ship that just kind of wanders around. So inanimate ghosts can be, ships, can be cars, trains, and even disembodied lamps. One thing that all inanimate ghosts have in common is routine. They all appear in the same time and place, traveling the same routes the vehicles, if it is a moving thing, was taking right at the moment of a disaster. So, like for example, the Flying Dutchman, before it went down, it was going that route on the ocean. So it appears at that place all the time, same time, regularly.
Well, you hear that a lot with ghosts and stuff, where they'll, if they were doing something when they died, their spirit returns to continually do the same thing. Trying to think, there was one episode of Constantine specifically that I could think of where they're trying to get a spirit, and he would show up in a street where he was trying to hitchhike to get to the city, and ended up causing a car crash. So this boy's spirit would show up in the same spot and ask for someone to give him a ride, and then he would be in the car and they'd be talking, and he would say the same thing over and over, and then all of a sudden he'd be gone, and then he would show up in front of the car, which would cause the car to crash. And it was just over and over the same thing.
These ghosts are frozen in time, repeating their final moments.
Yep.
So that was their final moment. All right, so those are the lesser-known types of ghosts, and that's going to do it for this episode of Weird World Weekly. Hang on, I just double-clicked that. When only one click suffices. Please leave us feedback by emailing galacticnetcasts@gmail.com, galacticnetcasts@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Just search Galactic Netcasts, because this is a presentation of galacticnetcast.com. You can find the show at weirdworldweekly.galacticnetcast.com. Watch our episodes on YouTube. Just search Galactic Netcasts. And please give us a 5-star and positive review. If you find us on iTunes, we're on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio as well. Thanks for listening, everybody. And Matt, until next time we meet, what do you want to do?
We want to keep it weird, Dave.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you later.
See you, Dave.